Back to mixing it with Mags. Today we're taking a look at mac and cheese. And no, I don't mean that stuff that comes in a blue box that says KD on it. Don't make that stuff. So for this lab, you're going to need not very many pieces of equipment actually. You're going to need your liquid measuring cup for your milk, a cheese grater. I've attached the fine grater on it because I find it makes the cheese melt faster or quicker. You're going to need measuring spoons, a whisk if you've got one, and a spoon for stirring. Okay. You're also going to need two different size pots back here. I've got a small sauce pot and I've got a larger one that I've got the water in it. For ingredients, I'm following the 3-person ingredients on the recipe that you're going to get. So I've got 175 mils of macaroni noodles. I got about a big enough chunk for about 125 mils of cheese. My salt and pepper. I've already measured out my flour that we're going to use for thickening the sauce. And my margarine, I've already measured out that, and then a little bit of olive oil that's going to go into the water once it boils. Okay, so I filled up a pot 2/3 full of water, and I brought it to a boil here on my stove. Remember, when you remove the lid, make sure you remove the lid away so the steam escapes away from your face to prevent any sort of maybe steam burn. To the water, I'm going to add a little bit of salt for flavoring. It also keeps the temperature boiling at a higher temperature, and I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to keep my pasta from sticking. Okay, now I'm going to add my 175 mils of pasta into my water, just like that, and I want to give it a stir right away, okay, because elbow pasta or macaroni pasta is notorious for sticking to the bottom of the pot, so you want to give it a stir right away. Okay, don't turn down the heat. And do not put the lid back on the pot, okay? You want to have it at a nice rolling boil, so keep the heat up high, and don't put the lid back on. And now I'm going to show you how to start the sauce. Every pasta that you buy has a different cooking temperature, so look on the package, see what it suggests for the cooking time. Set your timer to it. This one suggested about 8 minutes, so I put the timer on for 8 minutes. Okay, so while the pasta is going there, I'm going to start my the white sauce that will eventually turn into our cheese sauce for our mac and cheese. So turn your element on medium, get the sauce pot, get it warm. You're going to add your margarine to it. Okay, you can hear it starting to sizzle, so I know it's melting right away. Melt the margarine on medium heat. Once it's melted completely, take the pot off the heat, and that's when you're going to add your flour and pepper added together to create the paste or the roux to make your white sauce. Okay, so I've melted my margarine or my butter. I've taken it off the heat. I'm going to add my pepper and my flour, which is our thickening agent, to that. And I'm going to stir, and I'm going to show you it's going to create a paste or a roux, which is, I guess, a French fancy name for paste. Okay, make sure you created that paste because we want to dissolve, like the cornstarch and the berry sauce, we want to make sure we dissolve the flour in the margarine. Before we add the sauce back onto the heat, we got to incorporate the milk. So about 1/3 of it at a time, and I've switched to a whisk now because I find that breaks down the flour, the paste that we had in there a little bit better. So when we cook it, we won't have like a lumpy white sauce or anything like that. So I've switched over to a whisk. If you've got one, that's great. If not, a spoon will work just fine. So about 1/3 of the milk at a time, stir in between each one. And then we will add it back onto the heat in a second here to create our white sauce. Okay, so I put the sauce back onto the heat now, and all you're going to do is just keep mixing it every once in a while so that sauce starts to thicken. Okay, when we get to the right consistency we want, then we're going to add the cheese mixture into it, and it'll be good to go from there. Okay, so you can see it's boiling, and it's getting quite thick already. You don't want it to get so thick that like your whisk or your spoon or whatever stands up in it, because you're going to add your cheese to it, and once you add the cheese to it, it's going to thicken even more. So I'm going to stop at this point. I'm going to get my cheese and I'm going to add it to it. Okay, so I've got my little helper here this time. She's going to put the cheese into the sauce for us. We're going to mix it together to create the cheese sauce, and then we're going to add it to the pasta. Go ahead, Tegan. Pump it all in. You want to get the cheese in there while it's nice and hot, so that while the sauce is hot, so that it melts, and it creates our creamy cheese mixture. If the sauce doesn't completely melt or the cheese doesn't completely melt, you could add it back to the heat for a little bit if you wanted to. But it's also going to melt some more once it hits the hot pasta. Okay, the only way to really check if your pasta is done is to take a piece out, let it cool down a bit, pop it in your mouth. El dente. It's nice and soft and chewy, it's not crunchy anymore, and it doesn't dissolve super soggy in my mouth either. Good pasta. We're going to drain it off in the sink, and then I'm going to put the two together, show you the final product. Okay, a piece of equipment I forgot to show you at the beginning was a colander or a drainer or strainer, whatever you wish to call it. That's what I've used here to drain my pasta off in. I just wanted to let you know that. Okay, so I've made the nice hot cheese sauce here. I've added the cheese to it. It's not that day-glow color that you're going to expect from Kraft Dinner because that's not a normal cheese. Anyways, I'm going to add my macaroni into the pot of cheese sauce. I'm going to stir it up into the gooey-gooiness here. And then I'm going to put it into a couple bowls here, and you can see what it looks like. Okay, you can garnish your mac and cheese with some parsley flakes. You can serve it with some carrots or something like that. And here you go. Creamy, cheesy mac and cheese from scratch, not out of a box. Looks really good. Hey, thanks for joining us today. If you like this recipe, hit that like button down below. Maybe subscribe if you haven't done that yet. And stay tuned for the next episode of Mixing It with Mags.